dark secrets, twisted minds, unsolved mysteries. The world is full of stories that send shivers down your spine, cases that leave behind more questions than answers, and crimes so chilling they defy belief. Here, we dive deep into the shadows, uncovering the shocking details, the hidden motives, and the search for justice. From the infamous to the forgotten, we leave no stone unturned. Welcome to Shadowed Mysteries, where the truth is darker than fiction. Are you ready to enter the mind of a killer? Subscribe now and step into the world of true crime like never before. Welcome back to Shadowed Mysteries, where we explore some of history's most shocking true crime stories. Today, we're diving into the chilling case of Christa Pike, the youngest woman sentenced to death in the United States during the modern era. At just 18 years old, Christa was convicted of brutally murdering her friend and romantic rival, Colleen Slemmer, in 1995. Her story is a twisted mix of jealousy, rage, and occult fascination that shocked the nation. Grab your coffee, turn off the lights, and let's uncover the dark tale of Christa Pike. To truly understand how someone so young could commit such a heinous act, we need to look at her early life. Born in 1976 in Knoxville, Tennessee, Christa grew up in a troubled household marked by instability and neglect. Her parents divorced when she was young, leaving her caught between two worlds. By her teenage years, Christa had developed a fascination with the supernatural. Witchcraft, tarot cards, and anything occult-related consumed her thoughts. She spent hours poring over books about spells and rituals, often performing them in secret. This obsession wasn't just a phase. It became a defining part of her identity, shaping how she viewed the world and herself. Despite her intelligence, Christa struggled to connect with others outside her small circle of friends. She clashed frequently with authority figures, skipped school, and found herself in trouble more often than not. These early warning signs hinted at deeper issues, but no one intervened before it was too late. Christa's fascination with the occult gave her a sense of control in a chaotic world. To her, these rituals were not just games. They were a way to assert power over her circumstances and the people around her. Unfortunately, this mindset would later spiral into something far darker. One of the central figures in this tragic story is Tadderil Shipp, Christa's boyfriend at the time. Tadderil was older than Christa, charismatic, and deeply manipulative. Their relationship was toxic from the start, characterized by control, jealousy, and mutual fascination with the darker aspects of life. Tadderil introduced Christa to even more extreme forms of occult practices, including bloodletting and animal sacrifices. Together, they created a twisted dynamic where violence and ritual became normalized. Things took a dangerous turn when Colleen Slemmer entered the picture. Colleen, a classmate of Christa's, reportedly caught Tadderil's attention, sparking intense jealousy in Christa. What began as a petty rivalry quickly spiraled out of control. Christa saw Colleen as a threat, not just to her relationship with Tadderil, but to her very sense of self-worth. In her mind, eliminating Colleen became the only solution to reclaim what she believed was hers. The seeds of violence were planted, nurtured by Tadderil's influence and Christa's growing obsession with revenge. The night of January 12, 1995, marked the culmination of Christa's descent into darkness. Under the guise of performing a ritual, she lured Colleen to a secluded area near a quarry outside Knoxville. Alongside Tadderil and another accomplice, Shadala Peterson, they subjected Colleen to unimaginable cruelty. Over several hours, she was beaten, stabbed, and mutilated. In a final act of depravity, Christa carved a pentagram into Colleen's forehead using a piece of broken glass. The group then left her body in the woods, where it was discovered days later. The brutality of the crime shocked even seasoned investigators, who described it as one of the most horrific cases they had ever encountered. For Christa, the murder wasn't just about eliminating a rival. It was an expression of her twisted worldview, fueled by jealousy, rage, and a fascination with the occult. The carving of the pentagram symbolized her belief in harnessing dark powers through ritualistic violence. It was as if she saw herself as the architect of her own twisted universe, where death and suffering were tools to achieve her goals. Police quickly identified Christa as a suspect due to her connection to Colleen and the evidence found at the scene. During questioning, Christa initially denied involvement, but eventually confessed to her role in the murder.
I don't even think I just like that because she made me so mad. And I just couldn't with her. And she was just going, please don't. I said, shut up. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to talk to me. I said, I just want to find some way to get out of this. I said, it's gone too far. I need to do what I've done so far.
Investigators were stunned by her lack of remorse and disturbing fascination with the occult. She spoke matter-of-factly about the events leading up to Colleen's death, showing little emotion beyond occasional smirks or shrugs. Evidence collected, including testimony from Shadala Peterson and physical proof like blood-stained clothing, sealed her fate. Shadala Peterson, the third accomplice, cooperated with authorities in exchange for a reduced sentence. Her testimony provided chilling details about the planning and execution of the crime. She described how Christa and Tadarl orchestrated the entire event, treating it as both a personal vendetta and a ritualistic act. The investigation revealed the extent of their planning, highlighting how calculated and deliberate the crime had been. Despite their attempts to cover their tracks, forensic evidence tied them directly to the scene. Christa's trial captivated the nation, not only because of the horrific details of the crime, but also because of her age. Prosecutors argued that she was fully aware of her actions and showed no signs of regret. They presented evidence of premeditation, including witness testimonies and forensic findings that painted a damning picture. Defense lawyers tried to portray her as a victim of manipulation by Tadarl, emphasizing her youth and vulnerability. However, the jury wasn't convinced. In 1996, Christa was sentenced to death, making her the youngest woman on death row in the United States during the modern era.
It is therefore ordered that you shall be put to death by electrocution in the method prescribed by law, and that you shall be transferred to the custody of the warden at the Tennessee Prison for Women. And further, on the 12th day of January 1997, your body shall be subjected to shock by a sufficient current of electricity. May God have mercy upon you. Mr. Bates, take Mr. Pike into the door.
Can I please have my mom before I go?
Mr. Bates, please hold Ms. Pike in the dock.
Please, let me just love my mom.
Please hold Ms. Pike in the dock.
I love you. I love you too. And I love you too.
Tadarl received a life sentence without parole.
What were they going to do? Well, at first, I thought they just were scared. At first, from the jump, that's what I thought. But we got up there, everything changed.
There was a picture that was cut on her chest. Who did that?
How did you have that?
All right, don't tell me what it was.
It was,
For many, the verdict brought a measure of justice, but it couldn't undo the devastation wrought by Christa's actions. Colleen's family was left to grieve the loss of a bright, promising young woman whose life was cut tragically short. During sentencing, Colleen's loved ones delivered powerful victim impact statements.
What I want to see from the judge right now would be to get a date and put her down instead of waiting another year or another day.
Colleen Slemmer's mother says she would like to see a date scheduled for Christa Pike to be executed. Pike was sentenced to death in 1996 for brutally killing the 19-year-old near the UT Ag campus. The victim's mother is responding to Pike's attorneys, who asked the state Supreme Court not to schedule a date for the execution. Her attorneys want her death sentence commuted.
10 News reporter Vinay Simlat spoke to May Martinez, the mother of that murder victim, who says she wants this drawn-out nightmare over.
After 26 and a half years, May Martinez's nightmare continues.
There's not a day go by and I don't think about Colleen or how she died and how rough it was.
Her daughter, Colleen Slemmer, was lured out by Christa Pike and two of her friends. They tortured her for 45 minutes and then killed her. After the murder, Pike kept a piece of the victim's skull as a souvenir.
That you shall be put to death.
A jury sentenced Pike to death, but her lawyers appealed. Since she's been in prison, Pike tried to kill another inmate and tried to escape. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review her case, and in August, the Tennessee Attorney General's office asked the state Supreme Court to set an execution date. But Pike's lawyers argue that the death penalty should be commuted because she was only 18 at the time of the murder. They say Pike suffers from severe mental illness and brain damage. And because of COVID, the defense hasn't had time for a thorough mental health evaluation. But Colleen Slemmer's mom says the process has gone on long enough.
And I just want Christa down so I can end it, relieve my daughter so she finally can be resting.
As a memorial, May Martinez built a garden in her backyard so she can remember her daughter who loved to roller skate, paint, and draw instead of reliving the brutal way she was murdered.
Honestly, my heart breaks every single day because I keep reliving it and reliving it, and I can't no more. And I want this to happen before I die. Otherwise, nobody will see justice.
In Knoxville, I'm Vinay Simlat.
Christa Pike's attorneys say she takes full responsibility for the killing. They say she is asking for her sentence to be commuted to life in prison. Right now online, you can read about Pike and her attorney's latest attempt to commute her sentence. You can also see the details of the crime, investigation, and the trial. That's all at WBIR.com and the 10 News app.
Describing the pain and loss caused by Christa's actions. Some expressed anger and disbelief, while others sought closure through advocacy and remembrance. After her sentencing, Christa was transferred to death row, where she remains to this day. Over the years, she has appealed her sentence multiple times, citing her youth and mental state at the time of the crime.
The only woman on Tennessee's death row is asking the courts to reconsider her death sentence. Christa Pike was convicted in 1996. She and two other people tortured and killed 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer. 10 News reporter Ryan Connors explains what the move means for the family of the victim and what happens next. Ryan?
Robin, Christa Pike has tried on 3 separate occasions on both state and federal levels to get off of death row, but they've all failed. That's not stopping her and her legal team from giving it another try. Colleen's family says more than 25 years later, they're still looking for closure.
They're not even caring about the victim, and they need to, because this is really, really hard on the family. You know, I went through hell, to be honest, and it's not right. Colleen was tortured.
That's the reaction of Colleen Slemmer's mother to a recent request from her daughter's killer. Christa Pike wants her death sentence reconsidered.
She shouldn't have any appeals. Her appeals were done 2 years ago, so I don't understand why this has all of a sudden come up. She was sentenced to death. Everything was all done. It's been 28 years.
The request asks the state to reevaluate how Pike was sentenced. Her lawyers claim her age and mental health weren't taken into account at the original sentencing. Pike was 18 years old at the time of the killing. Her lawyers say her brain wasn't fully developed.
If a person's mental capacity is so limited as to be defined as intellectually disabled under the law, it is considered cruel and unusual punishment for the state to seek the death penalty against that person.
Criminal defense attorney Chloe Akers is familiar with those sentencing laws. She represented Tyshawn Brooks in a case that went to the state Supreme Court. The court ruled juveniles are constitutionally different than adults for sentencing purposes. Akers says because Pike was 18 at the time of the crime, her case is different.
The day that someone turns 18, they become the subject matter of the jurisdiction of adult criminal court in this country.
Now, Robin, as far as what comes next, the court's going to hear from the state before they rule on this new motion to bring back the appeal.
All right. Ryan, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Some argue that her age should have been considered a mitigating factor, pointing to research on adolescent brain development and impulsivity. Others believe justice was served, given the brutality of the crime and the lack of remorse shown by Christa. Regardless of opinions, her case highlights the complexities of juvenile sentencing and the challenges of balancing accountability with rehabilitation. Life on death row has been isolating and grim for Christa. She spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, allowed brief periods of exercise, and limited interaction with others. Over the years, she has undergone psychological evaluations, revealing a deeply troubled individual struggling to come to terms with her actions. While some see her appeals as a desperate attempt to avoid punishment, others view them as an opportunity to reflect on the failures of the justice system in dealing with young offenders. Decades later, Christa Pike's case continues to spark debate about juvenile sentencing, the influence of toxic relationships, and the role of the occult in criminal behavior. It raises difficult questions about accountability and redemption. Should someone as young as Christa be held to the same standards as an adult? Or does her age warrant leniency, especially given the circumstances surrounding her upbringing and psychological state? Her story serves as a grim reminder of how unchecked emotions and toxic influences can lead to irreversible consequences. It also highlights the courage and resilience of victims' families who continue to seek justice and healing despite unimaginable trauma. Colleen Slemmer's memory lives on through those who loved her, advocating for awareness and change in how society addresses issues like bullying, domestic violence, and mental health. By studying cases like Christa's, we honor the memory of those who were lost and strive to prevent similar tragedies in the future. So what do you think? Should Christa Pike's age have been a mitigating factor in her sentencing? Or was her punishment justified given the brutality of the crime? Her case challenges us to reflect on the complexities of human nature, the limits of empathy, and the responsibilities we share as members of a community. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more true crime content. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and never stop seeking answers.